You are listening to the Fly the W670 podcast. It is season 3. It's episode 66. Cubs swept for the first time, Crawly. Don't forget to listen, download, review. Most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. You can follow on all the socials, Fly the W670, Twitter, Instagram. Of course, we're on Facebook. You can email us at flythew670gmail.com. All right, Crawly, we knew it wasn't going to be easy, but the game we thought the Cubs had their best shot in was game number 1 because Shota Imanaga was on the hill. He's been good overall, but he's been really good on the road.
Yeah, and the Cubs usually win his starts, and this was a series, like you said, we knew it would be tough. I just love, though, looking at Progressive Field and getting those World Series memories, but this was not a fun one. And I think that Shota versus Blake Lively one really was a tough one because – you know, it looked the best out of paper. We were most confident. I think both you and I were both confident in that. And it started out good for the Cubs, you know, top of the third, Miguel Amaya hits a leadoff single, and the birthday boy, Ian Happ, hits his 20th home run. Cubs take a 2-0 lead. Happ on this game was 1 for 3 with 3 walks, and he had 2 outfield assists. Sarah Lang from Slangs on Sports wrote, Ian Happ is the first player with a home run and an outfield assist on his birthday since Matt Joyce of the Pirates, August 3rd, 2016. He's the first Cub
research on this, Crawly. I mean, come on. I mean, I love these nuggets. They're great. They're good water cooler. They're good for podcasts. They're good for sports talk shows. But who the hell keeps up with this stuff? I mean, somebody does something and then they're like, oh, let me look this up if this has ever happened before. I mean, is that how it works? I mean, I love a behind the scenes look at the life of the people that keep track of this stuff.
I think we're going to have that in the off season. I got something cooking. So once the off season's here and we got more time to kind of just dig into some things, I think we're going to have someone that could help us out with that. But he is the first, happens the first Cub to do it since May 25th, 1959. But Dustin, I'm with you. How they come up with this so quick, whether it's Ed Hardick or Sarah Lang or Chris Kamka or all the other people, man, it's just mind blowing.
I love it, but it really boggles my mind.
Well, with that birthday boy home run, 2-0 lead, that's good. PCA hit his 4th homer 1 inning later, and the Cubs are up 3-0. Shota's on the mound. You're feeling good. The controversy in this game happens in the 4th. Shota Imanaga walked the leadoff batter, Stephen Kwan, strikes out Lane Thomas, and then the dangerous Jose Ramirez is up the bat. Imanaga gets him to ground out, but Isaac Paredes, it just clanks off his glove, E5. Clank. Now there's runners at first and second. Dustin, we talked about it, and even when, you know, the Cubs were doing really good and winning a lot, I said, I still see mistakes, and they got to get cleaned up. And this is exactly what I was talking about. Against these sub-500 teams that they faced before, the Cleveland Guardians and the ones they're going to face after, you can get away with that. You're not going to get away with that against Cleveland. They're going to make you pay.
Yeah, no, sir, you are not going to get away with that. Nope.
No, just is what it is. And so now you got runners at first and second. He gets David Fry to fly out. So now you got 2 outs, right? Runners at first and second, 2 outs, Cubs up 3-0. Josh Naylor is up to bat. The count is 1-2, and Shota Imanaga throws a splitter at the bottom of the zone. If you're looking at 670 The Score YouTube channel, if you're subscribed and watching, you could see that was pitch number 4. That was right on the black.
So right, it's borderline. I mean, it is. I will say it's borderline, right? But it's borderline. But Shota admitted after the game it was borderline. But he should not have tried to show the umpire up a little bit. Maybe that probably didn't go over so well.
I mean, he was kind of looking in. I didn't see it as that. It was just kind of a stunned look, and it was a strike. I mean, there's going to be pitches that are borderline. That's going to happen. I don't know. When I looked at it, the moment I saw it, I thought it was strike 3. I think everyone thought it was strike 3. As Jim likes to say, it was an egregiously bad call.
Egregiously bad call.
Egregiously bad. And so that was home plate umpire Mark Rippinger. And so Naylor, who should have been out, he singles to score. Kwan makes it 3-0.
Of course he does, right?
The next batter, Jhonkensy Noel, hit a 3-run homer, and just like that, the Cubs are down 4-3. Frustrating thing on this, Dustin, is it wasn't a bad pitch. If you take a look at where this pitch was, you know, he had to kind of down and swing. It was low and away and out of the zone, and the guy's just a big boy.
Yeah, sandwich. He like had a sandwich out of a trap. Yeah, I mean,
Right. They call him Big Christmas. And he just, Cubs are down 4-3.
All right. Speaking of that, you went there. I gotta hit pause for a second. You and look behind the curtain of the Fly the W670 podcast. We did not talk about this prior. We haven't texted about it. Maybe Crawly caught it on the Mully and Haw show this week, minus Mully and Haw. Did you happen to hear, or did you see anything on social media about not this home run, but in the next game he hits another home run? But you just said that I just can't help myself. I got to jump ahead here. Did you hear the TV broadcast of this call?
Oh, no. I didn't. I don't.
So the next day, in game number 2, he hits another home run against Drew Smyly.
Right.
And the announcer says that Drew Smyly wants to kill himself.
Oh, boy.
I mean, you talk about out of line. I mean, my gosh. I mean, take it easy.
That is a little extreme, I would say. No, I did not hear that. A little
extreme. And I don't think he got a day off. This is in game number 2 against Smyly.
Yeah, I remember that one against Smyly. And so, it wasn't a bad pitch, like we said. And the Guardians weren't done with Imanaga. Next inning, bottom of the 5th, went out. Austin Hedges singled. Stephen Kwan homered. Guardians were up 6-3. Jose Ramirez singled, stole second, and scored on a David Fry single to make it 7-3. Shota would pitch 5 innings, give up 7 runs. Only 3 of them earned because of the Paredes error. 7 hits, 1 walk, and 3 Ks. The 2 home runs, though.
Boy, I hate that too, Crawly, though. I mean, he gave up the home run and did not have him wear it because of the error. That's just bad.
Yeah, that led to 5 runs. And so Nate Pearson was out of the pen first for the Cubs in the 6th inning with 1 out. Joe Kensky Noel hits his 2nd home run of the game. Cubs are now down 8-3. The Cubs went down in order in the 5th and 6th innings, and you're looking like, okay, this game's over. They're dead. We've seen this act before, especially with the Guardians having the best bullpen in baseball. But Dustin, to their credit, the Cubs fought back. Top of the 7th, Cubs load the bases with 2 outs. Nico Horner with the single to make it 8-4. And then Dansby Swanson doubles down the line, clears the bases. Swanson makes it to 3rd on a throwing error by the shortstop, and the Cubs are now down 8-7. Unfortunately, PCA popped out to end the inning, but the Cubs were back in this. Top of the 8th, 1 out, Ian Happ walked. Patrick Wisdom doubled to put runners at 2nd, 3rd, and Seiya hit a sac fly to tie the game at 8. Wisdom moves to 3rd, but Cody Bellinger was intentionally walked, stole 2nd, but Isaac Paredes struck out to end the threat. Now, Dustin, this is where the big mistake is, and people were upset the next day. Julian Merriweather came into the game.
Was I upset?
Bottom of the 2nd, he gets a strikeout. He walks Steve Kwan, got Lane Thomas to ground into a double play. Really nice, clean inning for Merriweather. But then Counsell decides to roll with Merriweather for a 2nd inning. And he hasn't done that, Dustin, since April. Okay, and so he's coming off the IL. He does not look like the Merriweather we remember. He's still trying to get into his groove here. And Jose Ramirez leads off with a double. Will Brennan singles on a ball that deflected off the glove of Dansby Swanson, ruled a hit. But now runners are at the corners, no out. Josh Naylor singled, and the Guardians took a 9-8 lead. Merriweather's day was done. Jorge Lopez came into the game and got the next 2 outs. Cleveland's all-star closer, Emmanuel Clase, came in the 9th, and Dustin, he makes it look so easy. One of the best.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he's really good. He's awfully good. I get made fun of all the time by the morning show or the afternoon show because I screwed up his name once on the air. So I never forget. Class A is his name. But let's go back to why in the world would you bring Merriweather back? Okay, and then fine, you bring him back. Okay, bring him back. You should have been pitching around Ramirez, if not just letting him have all 4 bases. Okay. And then when you give up the 2nd hit, you're out. Now, not only that, he gives up 1, 2, 3 hits. I mean, what are we doing?
I don't get the Merriweather coming out the second part. Like I said, he hasn't done it since April. Right. He hasn't looked 100% himself. I'm surprised he didn't just go with Jorge Lopez and then go to Porter Hodge. You're in this
right.
Game.
Right.
As far as walking Jose Ramirez, might as well be Manny Ramirez.
He's their version.
You walk Jose Ramirez, he's stealing 2nd. So now you got, you know what I mean? Now you've put the go-ahead run at 2nd. So
all right,
I think 6-1.
I can't argue with that because Cubs catchers can't throw anybody out.
Especially not him. So it made no sense to have him come out. It was a huge mistake. I did like
if you brought him back out, Crawly, okay, even if you're not going to pitch around Ramirez, as soon as he gives up the hit to Ramirez, you're out. You're out.
Yeah, you could. I would have been fine with that. Jorge Lopez could have done it, but I don't know what Craig Counsell was thinking on that.
And you could say, oh, well, if Craig Counsell takes him out and Lopez does what Merriweather does, you're killing him for that. No, I'm being honest with you. I would not have killed him for that. I would not have, because it was the smart thing to do. It was the baseball smart thing to do, and he just didn't do it.
I like the fact that the Cubs didn't throw in the towel when they were down 8-3. They fought back. They fell a little bit short against the best bullpen, but we talked about it on the last podcast when we talked about the tail of the tape. You're talking about runners in scoring position, and when you have Cleveland, they're sixth in all baseball with a 460 average with runners in scoring position. And on Monday, the Guardians were 5 for 8 in that category. Cubs 24th, batting 382 with runners in scoring position, were 2 for 9. So that was the difference in a one-run game. So when you look at game one, there's three things that just kind of stick out. The Merriweather, that decision by Counsell. You take a look at the runners in scoring position. And then Mark Rippinger, this is from the umpire auditor, that second life on a pitch that should have ended the inning. They scored 4 runs to take the lead. But of Rippinger's 9 missed calls, 7 went against the Cubs, and they lost by 1. I'm sorry, Dustin. I've said it, and I know I sound like a broken record, and people get mad at me on Twitter. Oh, what are you crying about? I'm tired of these games getting decided by umpires. Okay? Some games do, some games don't. You're going to get some calls, you're not. The technology exists. Okay? Get something. If you want to go all automated, fine. If you want to go challenge system, fine. These games,
at least have a challenge system, right? At least have a challenge. Why is it that I don't know if you ever watched tennis, Crawly. I know you pretty much just watch baseball. You watch tennis though?
I
watch the big matches. Okay, like instant. Okay, the ball's on the line, it's in. Right? If the ball's if the ball's in the box, it's a strike. In tennis, it's like this. I mean, there's no delay. There's no arguing. They challenge. There's an unlimited number of challenges. It takes it's the dink. Yes or no? The dink, yes or no?
So you're going to laugh. I went to the Green Day concert at Wrigley on Tuesday, which is why I didn't hear that call on the second game. And it was a fun concert, but I ran into Tom Ricketts, the owner of the Cubs, beforehand. And we were just chatting, and we were chatting about this bad call. And I said, I like the challenge system. I said, Tom, you got to go to the owners and tell them challenge. We got to have it next year. And so Tom said he likes the, like you said, automated all the way. He likes
robot umpire.
Yeah, he likes the robo ump. I like the challenge. I think it adds a little bit of strategy to it.
Okay, so now we're going down this road, which I love. Okay, I need a little bit more. I mean, so you have a limited number of challenges.
Correct.
Okay, so tell me. So if you get it right, you don't lose the challenge.
Correct. So you don't lose it, and so there's only 3 people
that challenge as many times as you want, as long as you keep getting it correct.
Correct. And it doesn't take any time. And they're doing it in the minors. We've talked to Alex Cohen. I've talked to Rich Biesterfeld. I've talked to people that have seen it in action, whether it's in the Arizona Fall League or in AAA or whatever. There's only 3 people that can call it: the pitcher, catcher, or hitter. That's it. No one else can. You don't look at the dugout. It has to be instantaneous. Someone hits their head on their helmet like that, it goes right there. You see it on the screen. It's done. It takes all of 5 seconds, not even.
Okay. Well,
and so there's strategy.
I want something. There's got to be something. Yeah.
There's strategy.
I guess the best part of strategy is we can second guess it here.
Right. Like, so if it's like, let's say it's like a 0-0 game, nobody's on base. There's no point in challenging unless you're 100% sure, right? You want to make sure if you're going to use your challenges on that situation where Shota with 2 outs and runners on, you're going to use it in that situation. So it's just being smart.
Hey, if it's something else for us to argue about, I'm in.
Well, game number 2, Javier Assad versus Matthew Boyd. This one had me nervous because Matthew Boyd was making his 2024 debut for the Guardians, and he was looking really good in his rehab starts. Everything I talked to with some people, said this guy just looks great. He's had some time off recovering from injury, and he shut the Cubs down. The Cubs offense was able to manufacture a run in the second. Nico hit a 1-out double, stole third, and scored on a Dansby Swanson sac fly to put the Cubs up 1-0. The Cubs would only get 1 more hit against Boyd, and Ian Happ single in the third. And then he sat down 12 of the last 13 Cubs hitters he faced. He pitched 5 1/3 innings, gave up 2 runs on, or I'm sorry, he gave up 1 run on 3 hits, no walks, and 6 Ks. Javier Assad, he pitched his usual game. He gives up a lot of traffic. He doesn't allow a lot of runs to score, and he doesn't go deep into games because he throws so many pitches. Assad stranded 2 base runners in the first and the second. Assad had runners at the corners with 1 out. Brea Rocchio hit a bunt. Assad made a nice pickup, but his throw was offline, kind of spiked it a bit, and Jimenez scored, and the game was tied at 1. So the Cubs had a lead for half an inning, and that's it. Assad gave up a leadoff double in the third to Jose Ramirez, but was able to strand him. He had a 1-2-3 fourth, and he had 2 runners on in the 5th before walking Jose Ramirez, ending his night. So he pitched 4 2/3 inning, gave up 1 run, 5 hits, 2 walks, and 2 Ks, but it's all that traffic, Dustin. He hasn't looked the same to me since he came back from injury.
Right. Did I see a stat, speaking of who keeps track of these stats, he has the best ERA with runners in scoring position?
Yeah, and he doesn't let a lot of guys score, but again,
like you said about the traffic.
Right. It's just a ton of traffic, and sooner or later, you're going to get a duck snort. You're going to have something that clanks off somebody's glove. You just don't want all that traffic on there. And again, if you're constantly having guys on high pressure pitches, that's why he's only going 4 innings, 5 innings tops. He hasn't gone any deeper in a long time. So the game became a battle of the bullpens. We talked about how the Guardians had the best in baseball. The Cubs had a chance in the 6th. Runners at first and thirds, 2 outs. Michael Busch came in to pinch hit, but he struck out to end the threat. Bottom of the 6th, Joensky Noel hit a home run off Drew Smiley to put the Guardians up 2-1.
That's the one I was talking about earlier.
Yep.
We'll if you didn't hear it on the Mully and Haw show, we'll try to get the audio. We'll retweet it off of the Crawly's Twitter account, and you can take a decision on yourself what you think about it.
Yeah, that's definitely inappropriate. Top of the 7th, Cubs have another opportunity. Dansby walks with 1 out. PCA flies out for the 2nd out. Dansby steals 2nd and advances on 3rd on air by the catcher. You got the tying run in 3rd, 2 outs for Christian Bethancourt. He rips one down the first base line, but Josh Naylor, who just, all series long, made a nice stab and catches the ball to take away the tying run from Bethancourt and the Cubs. No action in the 8th and 9th. All-star closer Emmanuel Clase came into the game for the 4th straight day.
Unbelievable, right?
Gosh. Yeah. Hit a 1-out single. He stole 2nd, but was tagged out trying to end the game when Dansby hit one to Jose Ramirez. I wasn't upset with that. He was caught in the rundown because Dansby was going to be out anyway, right?
It's going to be out anyway. I think he could have stayed a little bit closer, faked it a little, like a harder fake to get Ramirez thinking about it a little bit, but yeah, he was going to be out anyway. So yeah. When it first happened, Crawly, I was pissed. Okay. Right. Just being honest, like I always am. I was pissed. I was not happy. And I like Nico Horner a lot. He's a good guy. He's a great teammate on 670 The Score. And I was ticked off, but either way, probably an out is made.
For me, I think that he's trying to kind of, like you said, he could have deked a little bit more, maybe tries to get Ramirez's eyes moving, so maybe he drops the ball. If he throws it and there's an error at first, then maybe Nico can come around to score. So, it didn't really bother me that much, but the Cubs offense scored only 1 run.
One run on 5 hits. Okay.
Hits.
How many times, I don't care who's pitching, right. Cy Young probably didn't win a lot of 1-run 5-hit offensive games either. So
right. They only had 1 extra base hit, which was Nico's double that scored, and they were 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. So just no offense.
All right. This moves us into Wednesday night, Jameson Taillon, as the Cubs are looking to avoid getting swept for the first time this year. And I had a bunch of people say that we dork that because we were talking about that so much that that's why they got swept, because we were making such a big deal about the fact that they hadn't been swept all year.
Uh-oh, you mushed it. All right. Well, the first 2 games were decided by 1 run, but this one wasn't really close. Started out, it was a very similar game to game 2 in a way. The Cubs grabbed an early lead in the 4th inning, Seiya tripled and scored on a Cody Bellinger sac fly to put the Cubs up 1-0. But just like in game 2, the Guardians immediately answered against Taillon. Jose Ramirez draws a walk, and Josh Naylor doubled. And like I said, Ramirez just flying around the bases. He scores. Andre Jimenez singled the score nailer and put the Guardians up 2-1 in the 5th inning with 1 out. Stephen Kwan would single and score on a William Brennan triple. Brennan would come around and score on a Jose Ramirez ground out, and Cleveland was now up 4-1. The Cubs offense didn't do much against Alec Cobb, who was making his first home start against the Guardians. he started the game before, and people said, well, he had an ERA of 7. It was in one game, and
right.
it wasn't there. Yeah, Cobb, don't forget, he was an all-star last year. He's a good pitcher. He gave up a 2-out double to Miguel Amaya, but the Cubs stranded him. He gave up a triple to Seiya, which accounted for the Cubs' only run on that sac fly. He ran into trouble in the 6th inning with 2 outs in the 6th. He gave up back-to-back walks to Michael Busch and Seiya Suzuki. Cobb was pulled for reliever Nick Sandlin with the tying run at the plate. Cody Bellinger drilled one down the first base line, but again, Josh Naylor, another nice defensive play, inning over. Cobb was able to pitch 5 2/3 innings, gave up 1 run on 3 hits, 2 walks, and 3 Ks. It was still 4-1 in the 8th, which is, not bad when Julian Merriweather came into the game after struggling in game 1, walks the first batter he faced, Jose Ramirez, and then he stole second, which is what we were talking about. Yep. Ramirez advances on a ground out. He hit Lane Thomas with the pitch to put runners at first and third. Andres Jimenez would double to make it a 6-1 game. Cubs went down quietly in the 9th, and it worked perfectly for Cleveland. No Emmanuel Clase, and so
hey, didn't need him. You didn't need him.
Nope. And so they were swept for the first time. And just like in game 2, they only had 1 run on 5 hits. Same thing. And it came on a sac fly. 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Dustin, when we talked about this game, Cleveland was kind of in a little bit of a rut. And so we thought that maybe the Cubs could, I didn't know what you could expect out of Cobb. I didn't know what you could, this was just his second start. Boyd was making his first start. Those guys pitched really well. And here's the thing, Dustin. The Guardians had the best record. I'm not mad that they got swept. I'm not mad. The Guardians have the best record in baseball, the best home record in baseball. And when we talked about it, everything that we saw, they're 6th in runners in scoring position, 6th in starter pitcher ERA, 1st in bullpen, and 1st in defense. And that's what you saw. They're a better team than you are. You would like to have taken 2 out of 3, a couple bad calls, a couple bad breaks, and you would have maybe taken 1 out of 3. But Dustin, I get more mad when you lose against the Cincinnati Reds of the world, when you let the White Sox come back and have to fight hard games like that. I don't mind losing the way that 2 close games. Third one was close going into the 8th inning, Dustin. Right. I'm not furious about that. You see what Cleveland did. What makes me more irritated, though, is Cleveland struggled last season, and they were able to turn it around this quickly. And with the Cubs, we're still kind of just sitting here waiting for them to be a postseason team. And after this sweep, that's looking less and less like it's going to happen.
Less and less likely, no doubt about that. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It is rough, Crawly. All right, this is season 3. It's episode 66. The Cubs swept for the first time. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave us a 5-star review if you do not mind. You can email us, flythew670@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us, that's right, on the 670 The Score YouTube page. All right, Crawly, after getting swept, let's take a look at the standings.
Well, 3rd place was nice while it lasted. Cincinnati is on a little bit of a run.
Look at this. Pittsburgh was in 2nd like 2 podcasts ago.
Yep. Milwaukee's in 1st place, 68-52. And then it's all bunched up. Cincy, St. Louis, and the Cubs all in a game, within a game and a half of each other. And then Pittsburgh.
Absolutely crazy.
Pittsburgh sinking like a stone, Dustin. They're 56-64. If you take a look at the wild card standings, Arizona has just gone on an absolute tear. They're 9-1 in their last 10, and so are 9-1 in their last 10, and so are the Padres.
Well, again, those teams are 10 games ahead of the Cubs.
Yeah, so they're not catching that.
The only shot is the 3rd wild card. And listen, the Braves are better than the Cubs, period.
But they've had their struggles themselves.
I know they're spinning.
But they have won 3 in a row, and now the Mets are struggling a little bit. So the Mets are 2 games back. The Giants are on a 4-game losing streak. They got hot for a while. Now they're struggling. 4.5. Cincy win 4 in a row. Now they're 4.5 back. The Cardinals 4.5 back. They've lost 4 in a row, and the Cubs lost 3. So, that's just what kills you right there. And Dustin, I took a look here because we're getting here in the middle of August. Playoff odds based on Fangraphs. The Cubs have a 3% chance.
Do we have to do this right now?
3% chance of making a playoff. And so we say, you could always email us at flythew670@gmail.com. We put it out on Twitter the other day. We asked for some of your comments, whether or not you still believe that the Cubs had a chance. Ryan in Green Bay says, got beat. It sucks. probably the nail in the coffin. Sucks because we played back into contention, and 3 days later, it's over. Dustin, one game away from
It's a great point. It's a great point. I mean, on Monday, everything was looking up, and by Thursday morning, everything was looking down.
Just
so,
quickly.
That's baseball, as Craig Counsell likes to say. That's baseball.
William Healy writes here, Irish Bill for Bears says, unfortunately, the Cubs are what they are, a very, very inconsistent offense. It strikes out way too much for not having a lot of power in the end. Unless they play 20 or 25 games over 500 in these last 43 games, it will be a lost season again. And then we had John write in, Cubs 17-17, nail in the coffin. I've seen enough. Sad thing is everyone was set up with our pitching versus theirs. Again, they had two good pitchers that just haven't pitched at all this season. And unfortunately, you were hoping that they were rusty, and they didn't look rusty. They looked really good against the Cubs. And that bullpen, you face that. All you got to do is just get 5 innings done from your starting pitcher in Cleveland, and that bullpen will take it all the way.
All right, so one of your other favorite days is outside of when we find out about what the giveaways are going to be at Wrigley, and then when we find out what day is going to be CubsCon. Today has to be another big day in the Crawly life of Cubdom, because we got the spring training schedule, and people would say, well, who cares? Well, if you're planning a trip out to Mesa like you do every year, you want to know who the Cubs are playing and when and where, right?
Correct. And there is so here's the thing. This is a goofy schedule because the Cubs are going to be going to Japan. Okay. And so there's a lot more home games than away games. I think there's 13 home games and 8 away games. There's only 1 split squad game. They are having the Futures game. I was so excited about that last season, and it got rained out, but they're actually playing 2 of them, 1 away and 1 home. Remember, the Futures game is your best prospects versus another team's best prospects. But the Cubs are going to be gone in this stretch in the 3rd week of March to go to Japan, where they're going to play Wednesday and Thursday, the 18th and 19th. Dustin, I am contemplating not going to spring training this year. And
whoa.
Contemplating.
Whoa. Are you going to Japan? Is that why? Are you going to Japan?
I don't think I'm going to be able to pull off I don't think I'm going to pull off Japan, but I am interested. I've never done anything but go to baseball games and rock concerts in Arizona. I was thinking about taking the missus and going to Sedona for half my spring break. And then the Cubs start their U.S. portion of their schedule against Arizona in Chase Field. So I was thinking about catching the Diamondbacks opening day against the Cubs and catching 2 games and then hopping back home.
Sounds like a good plan. Might, happy wife, happy life. I guess that's the report, right?
That's what I'm hearing. And so I think Sedona would be fun. And then going to, I want to knock, I have like 10 ballparks off the list. I'd like to add a few more. And I think that for me, that just works out perfectly. So I think it's just such a goofy spring training, so different with this Japan thing right in the middle. I just don't think I don't know. I'm still undecided, but that's kind of where I'm leaning right now.
That would be pretty wild. All right. Also, we found out another reason why Kris Kringle will not be at Wrigley Field. We've got the 2 football games, but now it's also going to be the frozen pond of Wrigley Field, if you will.
Yep, Ben Pope put this out. We have the Big Ten hockey series coming up. So you know that the Winter Classic is December 31st, the Blackhawks versus the Blues on New Year's Eve. I don't know why they couldn't have done it on New Year's Day, but I digress. January 3rd, Penn State will take on Notre Dame. That'll be the men's hockey team. January 3rd is also going to have Ohio State and Michigan, so it looks like a doubleheader. Both of those are the men's. January 4th, Ohio State versus Wisconsin women's, and also a doubleheader on January 4th, Wisconsin and Michigan State men's. So I don't understand, Dustin, why you got a couple doubleheaders there. Why not stretch it out? But you'll have the Ohio State fan base and you'll have the Michigan fan base. So those are 2. Hockey is obviously big for both of those. But like you said, you have 2 football games, November 16th, Ohio State versus Northwestern, and November 30th, U of I versus Northwestern. So that you're not going to be able to put anything up in November. And then you got the Winter Classic and the hockey games. I mean, they're just not going to do all this work for 2 weeks.
No, absolutely not. Some good news on the Ryne Sandberg cancer diagnosis front.
Yeah, I know that your colleague, Danny Parkins, is doing a radiothon 24 hours.
In the midst of it right now. It will end tomorrow at the end of the Mully and Haw show. So if you have the means, make sure you make a donation to the Cubs for a Cure radiothon. And all the proceeds are going to benefit cancer research.
Absolutely great cause. And Ryne Sandberg on his Instagram, and I know he talked to Danny Parkins about it today, announced that he has rung the bell, which means no cancer is detected. Dustin, I know you and I are both Rhino guys growing up in the era that we grew up. And when we first got the diagnosis, I mean, anytime you hear the C word, it's such a scary moment. And stage 4, metastasize, all this stuff is just a lot of scary words there. But we knew that Rhino is a fighter. We knew he was going to get the best medical care. And it really just is a sigh of relief that he was able to, to beat this. He's going to have long-term care for the rest of his life. Obviously, he's going to have to be watching this very closely. But for anyone has lost anyone to cancer, I know myself included. I actually was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. Luckily, not a bad form, but a couple of years ago. Just get checked. Go to your doctor. Make sure you're doing the things that you need to do because the medicine has done so much. We've come such a long way. With early detection, they can do so much. So, cheers to Rhino, man. Just what great news. And again, the Cubs are getting involved in this with 670 The Score and Danny Parkins. And so that's going to be really awesome. And I know they're going to have special shirts, a special event ticket coming up. So if you can make it out to that, that's another great thing to do.
Yeah, Saturday is going to be a big day out at the ballpark when they have the Blue Jays, which we're going to preview in a few minutes.
Also, Cubs Authentics is going to be part of this. Cubs Authentics, and they are just phenomenal. They have the game use stuff. They have something special getting cooked up. So if you are someone that loves memorabilia like I do, follow Cubs Authentics on Twitter. They're going to have something super special for this weekend for Saturday. And so definitely keep your eye out for that.
All right. Very, very cool. Very cool. All right. So that was the good news. Now little bit of some bad news on the roster front with some injuries.
Yeah, it looks like Ben Brown is going to be done for the season. He's still not symptom-free, hasn't been making progress. And at this point, by the time he rehabs and this and that and gets some game action, the season's going to be over. So you just might as well shut him down. They say that Brown just needs rest, no surgical intervention. Hopefully, Ben is just a terrific kid. I've had him on the podcast before. Wish he looked really great when he did pitch. Just hope he can come back strong next season. Jordan Wicks felt good after his first rehab start for Iowa on August 10th. Remember, he gave up some runs and some hits. You don't care about that. How do they bounce back? And he bounced back well. Dustin, you remember this name, Colton Brewer?
Yeah, I remember that name.
Guy who punched the wall after a bad outing and broke his hand. He had a live practice BP session on August 13th. Hayden Wesniewski threw 25 pitches in a bullpen session also on August 13th in Arizona. So hopefully Hayden can come back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'd like to see him back out there. That would be actually some good news. And so that's our roster news and what's happening over at Wrigley Field. This is the Fly the W670 podcast. It's season 3. It's episode 66. The Cubs, yes, swept for the first time. Don't forget to listen, down the review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. You can also email us at flythew670gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us. That's right, on the 670 The Score YouTube page. All right, Crawly. Cubs, Blue Jays, Friday afternoon at Wrigley Field, right?
Yep. Last season, the Blue Jays finished third in the AL East with a record of 89-73. They were the third wild card team in that difficult NL East. They were swept in the AL Wild Card Series by the Twins. The Cubs did take 2 of 3 from the Jays last season in Toronto. Took game 1 6-2 with Assad pitching 7 innings of 1-run ball, Dustin. We need that Assad back. Nico Horner and Cody Bellinger went deep. Cubs took game 2 5-4 with Justin Steele pitches 5 innings and Dansby Swanson hitting a home run. The Blue Jays avoided the sweep by tagging Jamison Tyone for 8 runs in an 11-4 victory. They didn't do much in the offseason, Dustin. They lost DH Brandon Belt. We know third baseman Matt Chapman was a big free agent, infielder Whit Merrifield, and pitcher Jordan Hicks and Hyun Jun Ri to free agency. They signed Justin Turner, infielder Isaiah Kinfer-Falefa, and outfielder Kevin Kiermaier and relief pitcher Yariel Rodriguez to free agent deals. The biggest off-field bust for the Blue Jays, do you remember this, Dustin? There is a credible report that Shohei Ohtani was flying to Toronto to announce a deal with the Blue Jays. Mm-hmm. The media, all the fans came to the airport.
John Morosi, right? John Morosi.
John Morosi,
and he's a respected guy. I like John Morosi.
Guy for many years, and it turned out to be the guy from Shark Tank on a private plane. What a disaster. But to say this season has been a disappointment for the Blue Jays has been an understatement, just like the Cubs. The expectations were that they make the postseason. They got a record of 57-64. They're last in the AL East, 14.5 behind the Yankees, 9 games back in the wild card. They're only 28-33 on the road, but Dustin, they're 6-4 in their last 10. They just swept the Angel in a series where they scored 4 runs in the first game, 6 runs in the second, and 9 in the third. Shortstop Bo Bichette is on the IL with the right calf strain, so we will not see him. But watch out for rookie sensation Spencer Horowitz. We have not seen him yet, so first trip for him at Wrigley Field.
Tail of the tape, Crawly. Are we ready for the tail of the tape?
We are always ready for the tail of the tape.
There it is. There it is.
And so with the tail of the tape right here, when it comes to batting average, the Blue Jays have the edge, 239, which is 19th in baseball, compared to the Cubs, 235, which is 22nd. Slug, they are tied at 384 for 22nd in all baseball, so they slug exact same. Runners in scoring position, though, the Blue Jays are 10th with 266, while the Cubs are 28th, Dustin, at 224. And starting pitching ERA, the Cubs are still in the top 10. They're 7 at 383, while the Blue Jays are 17th, 423. Cubs have the edge in bullpen, 365. That's 8th in all of baseball, while the Blue Jays have a 502. They are 28th in bullpen. And so as far as fielding, the Blue Jays are a much better defending team. They are second in all of baseball behind Cleveland with 68 defensive run saves, while the Cubs are 15th in baseball with 13 defensive run saves. So when you look at the heading category, pretty much all goes to the Blue Jays. Pitching pretty much all goes to the Cubs. Defense goes Blue Jays. But if you can get into that bullpen, you can do some damage.
All right, let's go for the pitching probables Friday afternoon. Kyle Hendricks. This is a 120, and this is strange enough. A 120 start Friday. That's not strange, but it's an Apple TV game at 120.
Do not forget that with Apple TV, they have the feature where you don't have to listen to their announcers. You can listen to Pat and Ron as God intended on 670 The Score at 120 on a Friday. So that is a feature that you can use, and I encourage you to use that. There's nothing better. It's perfectly synced up. It's awesome.
Yeah, and the picture on Apple TV is spectacular. All right, so I was a little bit surprised they skipped Kyle Hendricks' start and let him throw in Cleveland, so he's back here throwing at Wrigley on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, remember Kyle Hendricks, he's 3-10 with a 6.60 ERA in 21 games, 16 starts, 65 strikeouts, and 91 1/3 innings pitched. The last time Kyle pitched was on August 5th against the Twins when he pitched 6 innings and gave up 2 runs. He was skipped his last 2 turns in the rotation because of off days. Kyle is 0-1 lifetime against the Blue Jays in 2 games, started with a 5.40 ERA. Only 2 Blue Jays have seen Kyle. Dalton Varsho is 2 for 6. The other batter is the game 2 pitcher, Chris Bassett, who's 0 for 1.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Little old school right there. Yael Rodriguez is a 27-year-old righty in his first major league season. He came from Cuba, Dustin. He's 1-5 with a 3.60 ERA in 12 games, started with 52 strikeouts and 50 innings pitched. Rodriguez has pitched well lately, but doesn't go deep into games. He was hit pretty hard by the Orioles on July 29th, giving up 3 runs on 4 hits with 4 walks in only 2/3 of an inning. But he did better against the Yankees August 4th, pitching 4 2/3 scoreless innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 walk, and 4 Ks, no runs. In his last start against Oakland, he gave up 1 run on 1 hit and 1 walk in 5 Ks and 5 2/3 innings. He has never faced the Cubs, and the only Cub hitter who has seen him is Isaac Paredes. When he was with the Rays this season, he's 0-3. Rodriguez will feature a 4-seam fastball, slider, curveball, and split finger.
Game number 2, Justin Steele, also an afternoon tilt.
Yep, versus Chris Bassett. Steele's 3-5 with the 3.16 ERA in 19 games with 112 strikeouts and 114 innings pitched. After a rough start against the Reds on July 30th, he has pitched better. On August 4th, the Cardinals, he pitched 6 2/3 innings, gave up 2 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks with 6 Ks. He picked up the win. In his last start, he got a no decision on August 10th, pitching 6 shutout innings, giving up 6 hits, 2 walks, and 8 Ks versus the White Sox. Justin has only faced the Blue Jays once in his career, getting a no decision, pitching 6 innings and giving up 3 runs. Only a few Blue Jays have seen steal, with only Dalton Varsho having more than 3 at-bats. He's 2 for 7 against Justin. Chris Bassett is 9 for 11 with a 4.30 ERA in 24 games. Started with 129 strikeouts in 134 innings. Bassett's been knocked around a little bit in his last 3 starts. On July 30th, he gave up 5 runs in 4 innings against the Orioles. He faced them the following week and did better, giving up only 2 runs in 7 innings. But in his last start against Oakland on August 11th, he gave up 7 runs in 4 innings. Bassett is 0-1 lifetime against the Cubs in 3 starts with a 6.32 ERA. Isak Paredes is 2 for 10 against Bassett, and so is Dansby. He features a lot of different pitches, but he's mainly going to throw a sinker, cutter, and curveball.
Game number 3, Shota Imanaga, Sunday afternoon, Wrigley Field.
All 120 starts this weekend. Shota Imanaga is 9-2 with a 3.16 ERA in 22 starts with 131 strikeouts in 128 and a third innings. Shota's had his struggles lately. He got a no decision on August 1st against the Cardinals, giving up 4 runs on 10 hits in 6 2/3 inning. He did well against the Twins on August 8th. He only gave up 2 runs on 2 hits, 10 Ks in 7 innings. But he got another no decision on Monday, giving up 7 runs, 3 earned on 7 hits in 5 innings. He's never faced the Blue Jays or any of their hitters. Bowden Francis is 5-3 with a 4.92 ERA in 20 games. 6 of those starts with 51 strikeouts and 56 2/3 innings. Bowden's mainly pitched out of the pen for the Jays. He's been up and down with the Jays AAA team. Francis has started 2 games in August. On August 7th, he pitched 5 innings and gave up 2 runs on 3 hits against the Orioles. And in his last start, he gave up 1 run on 1 hit in 7 innings against the Angels with 8 Ks. Bowden has pitched in 1 game against the Cubs in relief, and no one has more than 1 at-bat against him. He throws a 4-seam fastball, curveball, and a split finger.
All right, who's hot and who is not? Let's start with the Cubs.
With your Cubs, you got Miguel Amaya's 5 for 13 with 3 RBIs, slashing 385, 385, 538. Cody Bellinger, 6 for 18 with a home run and 3 RBIs, slashing 333, 435, and 500. And Ian Happ, 6 for his last 19 with 2 home runs and 3 RBIs, slashing 316, 435, 632.
And the not?
The not would be Dansby Swanson, 4 for 18 with 4 RBIs, though, 222, 250, 278. Seiya Suzuki's 4 for his last 21, 190, 217, 286.
Boy, he has been rough. And Matt Spiegel's reporting that when Cody Bellinger gets back out there in the field, that Seiya will be moved to a full-time DH.
We brought that up on the podcast a couple of podcasts ago. That's what I said. I said, I didn't think Cody was going to opt out. So maybe you have just this dynamic electric outfield. And that might be something really cool, and just have Seiya be the DH. It's, that's where I'm at.
Somebody that I think all Cub fans would like to be the DH is somebody who's made the Jays hot list, and that's Vlad Guerrero.
Vladito, he is 9 for his last 26 with 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, slashing 346, 37, 654. Dustin, there was a report today that kind of surprised everybody. Jed Hoyer was on 670 The Score, and he said the Cubs went over the luxury tax this year.
And I'm not sure he wanted to admit that, but that, if anything, that puts even more heat on him, because that means the Cubs have spent poorly.
Correct. And do they want to go 2 years in a row over the luxury tax? Because it's one of those things, one and done, not that big a deal. But if you start doing it multiple years, that's when you get dinged. So with this team going over the luxury tax, I don't know about that. And I don't know the chances that Vladito comes over here. Also look at Ernie Clement. He is 8 for his last 24 with a home run and 3 RBIs.
Related to Matt Clement or no?
No. 333, 333, 542. He doesn't have that chin beard either. And one other guy, Dalton Varsho, he's not really hitting that much, but he does have 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. And I told you, look out for that rookie Spencer Horwitz, the second baseman. He has 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. So they're really slugging it lately. So you just got to be careful. You don't really have to worry for George Springer struggling. Right field, he's slashing 188, 250, 294. Their left fielder is really struggling. Joseph Loperfido, he's 1 for his last 13. And their catcher, Alejandro Kirk, is 1 for his last 16. So a little bit easier there.
Prediction time. I'll go first. They're going to win 2 out of 3. They're going to keep me hanging on and believing. They win 2 out of 3. Not sure which one they lose, but I just don't think when a team like the Jays, as you just mentioned, can slug like they do, I'm just worried in one of these games the Cubs won't be able to keep up.
Here's the thing. I think Justin Steele beats Chris Bassett. I think they take game 2, no problem. I'm a little nervous. We'll see how Kyle does.
It's all about Friday, right? It's all about Friday with Kyle.
Right. Friday with Kyle versus Uriel Rodriguez is the one that I'm really looking at. The thing that scares me about this is you got 2 young guys, and how many times have we said, oh, the young guy had his best start of his career against the Cubs. Like I keep hearing that. And you got 2 young guys that have never pitched a full season of baseball here in Uriel Rodriguez and Bowden Francis. So, I mean, I think that the Cubs can take games 2 and 3. I'm a little worried about game 1. So I'm going to say the Cubs take 2 or 3. I think they're going to take game 2 and game 3. That's my prediction.
All right. Well, you and I both have 2 out of 3. That's a wrap, Crawly. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Follow on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, flythew670@gmail.com. We got to some of those Gmails today. We appreciate the emails we got, and you can watch us. That's right. Crawly told you by subscribing to the 670 The Score YouTube channel. Crawly, enjoy the weekend. And if you have the means, help out Cubs for a Cure Radiothon. It finishes at 10 a.m. tomorrow with Danny Parkins, but the Cubs are going to be doing stuff all weekend long out at Wrigley Field in conjunction. And don't forget that there's 16 games coming up against teams below 500. Do what you're supposed to do, win games, and then we'll see where we are. Go Cubs! Hey guys, it's Crawly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Go Cubs!